Hello, this is Will Schlecht from IronCrow AI, and today I'm going to be discussing how to use the large language model Sandbox to help prepare for the patent bar exam. So this is the landing page of IronCrow AI. I've already signed in. If you haven't signed in yet, you can do so under the Account tab. Once you've signed in, you should be able to access each of the services available to you from the navigation bar in this center area. And the app that we're interested in this case, is the LLM Sandbox. If you click the LLM Sandbox button, you'll be taken to this main kind of tab-based interface. And the relevant tab we're going to want to go to is the Interrogation tab, which has the ability to use retrieval augmented generation on different types of documents. So you can upload documents. But in this case, we're going to use one of the pre-parsed, pre-digested documents. We're going to use the Manual of Patent Examining Procedure, the MPEP. And so once that's loaded, it gives the large language model knowledge of the MPEP. So it's able to actually look at the text of the most recent version of the MPEP to do very open-ended, conversation-based things. And so I'm going to be giving a few examples of how I think it would be useful to use this tool to prepare for the patent bar exam. I didn't have this tool available to me when I took the patent bar. Large language models were still not a thing at that time. I wish I had. I think this would have been a nice way to do it, or at least a change of pace. I used PLI, got some used materials from them, and that was super helpful. But I do think it would be nice to, instead of like when you try to consult the primary source of the MPEP, it would be nice to do it in a little bit more of an interactive way. So even just searching the MPEP can be a little bit tiring. And so it would be that much more helpful if you could actually talk to that document. And essentially that's what you can do with this tab. You can talk to the Manual for Patent Examining Procedure. So I think the first use is you can have it summarize a certain topic. So maybe you're working on patent prosecution, chapter 1200, and you want to just get a high level summary of what the whole process of appealing a rejection looks like. So you could put a prompt like summarize the process of appealing an office action rejection. And one of the nice things about this tool is it will give an answer, and that answer should be grounded in the actual content of the MPEP. But you can also look up the citations which follow each response to do some follow-up research of your own, if you want to, dig into one of the sections a little bit more deeply. So here we have a summary. So initial requirements starts with the notice of appeal, then the appeal brief is filed, administrative processing. So that should all be factually correct, and then it will give the relevant citations. These are not what I would call kind of like the hard-coded citations. These are the citations that the model itself gives. We also have these expandable citations that follow each response, and it will actually give, we've got section 1203, administrative handling. So you can actually look at the real text pulled from the MPEP. And this is a good sanity check to make sure that the information is valid. As these tools have gotten better, I think in 99% of the time, you don't have to actually fact check these tools, but it is good to actually be able to reference those sections. So in a very like simple way, you could just use this as a search tool. You could find relevant sections of the MPEP to help you. Maybe you're working through a PLI test quiz, and there's a question, the topic is a little bit difficult for you, or you feel like you need more information about it. You could just quickly reference that topic using this tool. And another thing that you could do is you could have it generate test questions. So I know that test questions are a valuable resource when you're preparing for the patent bar exam. So one way to generate additional test questions is you can just ask this tool to do that. So we can say, please Not spell please today. Please generate a patent bar exam style multiple choice question about ex parte appeals practice. You could be more specific. This is just an example. If there's some more particular aspect that you want to dig into, say the procedures regarding the appeal brief or the format of the appeal brief, you could kind of zoom in on that topic. But in this case, we're just going to do kind of high level appeal practice question. And yep, here we go. Multiple choice. It gives the answer. So be careful if you don't want to see the answer right away. Maybe block that out or something. But the nice thing is, it's not just that it gives a question and the answer, and it does give its explanation, but you can then follow up on the explanation if some of what it's saying doesn't make sense. So the correct answer is B, according to Section 2273. The patent owner may appeal to the board only after, yeah. So not gonna spend too much time reading that, but let's just say, can you please expand on why B is the correct answer? So you can continue the conversation, right? In general, to save tokens, which, there's a finite amount of tokens that are available to you each month. To save tokens, you can clear the chat when it's like the conversation thread is kind of over. So maybe I want to have a multiple choice question on a different topic. I would just clear this. But because I want to ask a follow-up question, you're able to do that with the kind of conversational mode that it has. And then, yeah, I'll explain in detail. Answer B is correct. Give citations, legal basis, and always the actual citations from which it's pulling from the actual MPEP document. So that's some basics for how to use this tool. You can do topic-specific kind of summaries of different things within the patent for examination procedures, or you can generate test questions, or if you have test questions and you have an answer to those test questions, but it doesn't quite make sense to you, you could actually upload those documents. So maybe you have like a PDF of old exam questions. You could upload those and kind of work with that document. So you could say, like, yeah, please summarize all of the test questions which relate to plant patents or something. And then you could follow up by selecting the knowledge base, the MPEP knowledge base, and then kind of querying the MPEP to help explain those answers in that PDF of test questions kind of more deeply to help explain to you. And you can always change the format with which it explains things. So it's pretty generic, like numbered lists and hyphenated lists, indented lists. You could ask it to explain in simpler language, explain in particular style. If you're an English as a second language person, you could ask it to explain in Spanish, which would be helpful, or whatever your native language is. So this is, yep, just a quick overview of ideas that I could think of to help with the preparation for the patent bar exam. If, I think in the course of using this tool, if other people have new ideas, I think it's a new trial to see if there is much use to people in using this tool to prepare for the patent bar exam. I know some of my colleagues have used it, and I think it was helpful. But yeah, we'd like to scale this and have a few more people test it out for this purpose, and hopefully it's useful to them. And yeah, if there's any feedback regarding how you find it useful or features that you might want, which it doesn't currently have, I would be very interested to hear that for this particular use case. So thank you very much. I think that was all that I had to say, and I'll talk to you again later.